Hey Dev, CSS Grid is one of the most powerful layout systems in modern CSS and still one of the most misunderstood, and many devs rely on Flexbox for everything, even in situations where it starts to break down. So the moment you need true control over both rows and columns, things get messy fast. In this video, you're going to learn how CSS Grid actually works, how to deal with two dimensions, and how to build layout that stay clean instead of falling apart. By the end of this video, you will understand how Grid works, how to size and place items with precision, and why Grid doesn't replace Flexbox. It just does things Flexbox was never meant to do. And now let's get into it. So before we write a single line of code, let's get this out of the way. Yes, Grid can do everything Flexbox can do. You've probably heard people say use Flexbox for one dimension and Grid for two dimensions. Even I said something like that in my last video where I talked about Flexbox. Even though it's not wrong, it is a little bit incomplete because Grid is great at one-dimensional layouts too. And here's the kicker. If you start with Grid and later decide your layout needs to go multi-dimensional, you're already set up for it. With Flexbox, you would have to rethink the whole thing. So think of it less as either or and more as Grid gives you more control, and today we're going to learn how to use it. Alright, let's start building. Here is our HTML, a wrapper div with 6 numbered child divs inside it, and in our CSS, we have some styles here. This global selector is to define the box sizing for the entire project, and we are also resetting the default margin and padding of the elements of the page so we can customize them later as we want. And after this, we have some styles for our body, the background color, a box shadow, a font family Arial, the min height and min width to fill the whole page, and a padding of 2 rem to give this extra space around the body. After the body, we have our wrapper class, which we'll get into later. But before that, here's our item with some basic styles like background, border, a color for the text, a cursor pointer, the font size, a font weight 500, a padding 2 rem, and a text line center. And when we hover over our item, we change the background color to this F0, F0, F0 color. And yeah, that's basically our initial styles. So let's get into our Grid CSS properties. The first thing we are going to do here is to add a display grid to our wrapper, and if you realize nothing changed here after we defined our display as grid. If we wrote display flex here, look at what happens. So you can see that Flexbox and Grid work a little bit different. Even though they share some properties, there are behaviors that differ one from another. Let's go back to our display grid, and then after the display grid we can write here grid template columns 10 rem, 10 rem, 10 rem. That's it, 2 lines and you have a grid. The reason why display grid alone doesn't visually change anything is because you have to tell Grid how many columns you want, which we are doing here with grid template columns. Each value you put there defines 1 column, and 3 values define 3 columns. So if I remove this one, now you're gonna see 2 columns per row, and if you remove this one as well, just 1 item for each row. I'm going to undo what I removed because I want 3 columns for our example. Now let me introduce 2 terms that will make Grid click for you: explicit and implicit tracks. We explicitly defined our columns. We said exactly how many we want and how wide they are, but we never said anything about rows. We have 6 items and only 3 fit in a row, so Grid implicitly created a second row on its own. That's implicit. Now, tracks aren't just rows and columns, they're actually counted by their lines. In a 3-column grid, you have 4 column lines and 3 row lines. This matters when we start placing items precisely, which we'll get to shortly. To see these tracks, you can right-click inside the web page and select the option Inspect. When you click Inspect, there will be this menu here where you can see the DOM, so all your HTML elements here, and also these styles. I'm going to close this section to gain some space, and we can also pull this up. So here you can explore your HTML items, but what we want here is to actually turn on this grid option. I'm going to zoom in this part and click on Grid, and now we can see our tracks. For a better visibility, I'm going to click on this 3 dots button, and you can select this dock side option, undock into separate window. After you click on it, this inspect menu will be detached from the web page, so you can gain some space in your web page. And now we can see all of our tracks. So here's the first column, and here the second column, third column, and fourth column, and first row row and second row. After you understood a little bit about tracks, here's one of my favorite parts about grid, the gap property. With grid, gap only applies between items, never on the outside. So you can write here gap 1 rem, and as you can see, there's a gap between the rows and the columns. You can also set horizontal and vertical gaps separately using column gap and row gap if you need different values. But gap as shorthand covers both in one shot. I'm going to test here column gap and now row gap of 4 rem. I'm going to turn the grid option off so you can see the gap without those tracks. And now I'm going to delete this and turn this to gap again. So yeah, this is the gap property. Talking about our columns, writing out 10 rem, 10 rem, 10 rem for 3 columns is manageable. But what if you want 12 columns? You're not typing that out 12 times, right? That's what repeat is for. So instead of 10 rem 3 times, you can remove this and write the method repeat. And inside the parentheses, we have to pass 2 parameters. The first one is the amount of columns we want. In this case is 3. And then how wide our columns are going to be. In this case, 10 rem. And ta-da! Now you have your columns with the same result as before. 3 columns at 10 rem each. But now it scales. So change that 3 to 12 and you've got 12 columns without extra typing. As you can see, now we have 12 columns, but there's no available space in the web page, so it's overflowing here. I'm going to change this to 5 so you can actually see without the overflow. Okay, now it looks better. And let's go back to 3. And if we want this wider, we can turn this to 20. And as you can see, all of the items are a little bit bigger now. I'm going to turn this to 10 again. All right, that handles repetition. But what about flexibility? Because fixed values like 10 rem don't care how wide the screen is. And that's a problem. So this is when we need to talk about fractional units. This is the unit that changes how you think about layouts. Meet FR, which stands for fractional unit, basically a share of whatever free space is available. So here in our CSS, instead of repeat, we can write 1FR, 1FR, 1FR. You can think of it like splitting a pizza equally. 3 columns, each gets 1 slice of the total space, and you're not limited to equal shares. You can also do 10 rem, 1FR, and 10 rem. Now the 2 outer columns are fixed at 10 rem. And the middle column takes up all the remaining space. This is incredibly useful for things like sidebars with a flexible main content area. You can also do a 2FR here or 3 to give a column twice or 3 times the space compared to the others. I'm going to remove this and turn this to 1FR 3 times. Now let's talk about something Grid can do that Flexbox really cannot, and that is controlling exactly how wide individual items are. Let's say we want item 5 to take up 2 column widths. So after this item, we can write here item 5 and a grid column span 2. To see the effect of this style in the web page, we have to define here item 5, and now you can see the span 2 working. So let me go back to the CSS file. So what if we span 3 now? Here's where it gets interesting. Since item 5 naturally starts at the second column, there's not enough room for it to span 3 columns in the same row, so it bumps to the next row, leaving a gap behind. To fix that, we can go into our wrapper here and define the property grid auto flow dense. Now grid will look for items that fit in those empty spaces and fill them in automatically. It's like a smart packing algorithm built right into CSS. I'm going to add more columns here, item 7, 8, and 9. Let me fix the values. Now I'm going to turn off the grid auto flow dense. So this is the result if we don't use this property, and if we activate again the grid auto flow dense, this is what happens. The grid basically looked for items that could fit those empty spaces, and now there is no empty space before the item 5. Going back into our item 5 class, this grid column span 2 or span 3 is useful, but what if you want to place an item at a specific position on the grid? That's where grid column start and grid column end come in. So under the hood, this grid column property uses the start and end. So it's basically a shorthand for both of those. So you can comment this out and then add a grid column start 1 and a grid column end of 3. By doing that, we are not getting the same result as the span 3. I'm going to comment this out and let this on again so you can see the difference. Span 3, we get this result, and with column start and end, we get this another result. The reason why the result is different is because this places item 5 starting at track 1 and ending at track line 3, which spans 2 columns. The shorthand version of this one is grid column 1/3. So you can comment these two out and you can see the same result. You can also mix span and position. So we can do this, span 2/4. This tells the item 5 to span 2 columns and end at track line 4. If you open again your inspect menu and turn on the grid feature, you can see the number 4 here, which is basically our track line 4. So we defined that our span would start at 2. Here's the tracking line 2, and we said that it would span to the 4th track line. Let me turn this off again and minimize this. And here's a great trick. If you want something to stretch across the entire grid, but you don't know how wide it is, you can use a grid column 1/-1. That -1 means go to the very last track line, and it works great for full width headers or banners inside a grid. A side note here, this only works across your explicit rows. It won't stretch into rows that grid created implicitly. And the same logic applies vertically with grid row and grid row start and end. For example, in our current CSS, we haven't defined the explicit rows. We only defined the columns here. So if you try to style the item 5 with grid row and 1/-1, you can see that this is the result. It doesn't stretch from the beginning to the end of the track lines. I activated again the grid feature so you can see the track lines here and see how it changes if we go here into our wrapper class and add a grid template rows, repeat 4 rows, 1 FR. Now I'm going to deactivate this grid feature so you can see that now the item 5 actually stretched from the beginning to the end of the rows because now we have explicit rows, not implicit ones. And yeah, that's CSS Grid, from 0 to placing items exactly where you want them. The key things to take away: a grid and Flexbox aren't enemies. Grid just gives you a level of control over two-dimensional layouts that Flexbox wasn't designed for. You can start with display grid, define your columns, use fractional units for flexibility, and use grid column to take full control of individual items. So if you want to go deeper, I would highly recommend CSS Grid Garden. It's a free browser game that will solidify everything we covered today. And no, it's not a sponsorship, but the link of this game will be in the description and also in the pinned comment. If you're learning CSS and other web dev skills, I post detailed videos twice a week, so hit subscribe and I'll help you level up on your journey. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.